From the Fidelity Bank Foundation studio, PBS Kansas presents One-on-One with Victor Hogstrom.
This is where the movers and shakers of Kansas come to talk about their lives, careers, and lessons learned along the way. On this edition of One-on-One, my guest is a local trailblazer in advocacy, communications, and entrepreneurship. As the founder of Proud of Wichita Incorporated, the LGBT Chamber of Commerce, Chris Pumpelly has been a driving force in building an inclusive business community and advancing social progress. From shaping national campaigns to leading local initiatives, Chris has spent his career breaking barriers and fostering collaborations. I sit down with him to discuss his journey, the impact of his work, and what's next in the effort to broaden the social and economic horizons of the Greater Wichita community. Stay tuned for an interesting conversation you won't want to miss. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Victor Hogstrom, and I would like to welcome professional communicator and LGBT trailblazer, Chris Pumpelly, to the program. Chris, it's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Now tell us about your background. You grew up in Wichita, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, East Side boy. Grew up, was raised in College Hill, and then stayed in Wichita through high school. And then after that, went off to the University of Kansas, where I double majored in journalism and communication studies. Then about 2007, I made the strategic choice to go into the newspaper industry. Anybody with a memory will remember that was possibly not the best choice at the time, because that lasted about a year and a half until the team I was working with wasn't working anymore. But until then, I was pleased to work across the country in markets like Southern California, in Northwest Florida, Ohio, and everywhere in between. And got to see a lot of the country. But that unfortunately didn't work out. So what happened is I got back to Wichita, and I had the opportunity to kind of reinvent what I was about, follow what I was passionate about. And about then I was saying, hey, I've always had an interest in politics and policy. And so I got involved here locally in a congressional race. I became the finance director for a gentleman named Raj Goyal. We raised about $2 million back in 2010. We unfortunately did not pull through. We lost to a guy you may have heard of named Mike Pompeo. May have heard of that guy. Yeah. It was not a great year to be working on that side of the ledger, but I certainly learned a lot. And I kind of caught the bug for advocacy then, I would say. Saw that the work that we were doing genuinely does impact thousands of people that you'll never meet. So that's where I got started.
So Chris, what experiences in your early life inspired your passion for the advocacy work?
I think that's a great question. My entire life, I've always been fascinated by not only communication, that's kind of what interested me throughout my career, but a sense of justice and wanting to work for justice and wanting to make certain that there were more people at the table. As a member of the LGBTQ community, you don't necessarily feel like you're welcome in every single room that you walk in. And I wanted to make certain that when I felt like that when I was younger, I wanted to make certain that as we move forward, that other people didn't need to feel that way, that they could bring their whole self to their work, into their lives, and they can live a great life and bring everything that they can to a community to make it better.
What was that experience like as you walked into a room and didn't feel welcome?
It's isolating. I mean, I think that a lot of people can relate to the feeling that you don't necessarily feel welcome in a place. And
actually, what happened? What was said or done?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily explicit more than implicit. I mean, when I came out in 2015, that was surprising to a lot of people, and I that same year moved back to Wichita, and you just kind of get the sense that that things maybe people feel change because they find that out. A lot of that was internal. A lot of that came from self-acceptance, and that's really something I think that's undertold, is that the biggest transition, the biggest change, and the most radical action you can take is the action of self-love and self-acceptance. And that's been a really long journey. But I just realized that this community, I love it very much, but there's opportunities for growth. And when I come back and say, hey, I've worked in these other markets, these other communities, and they tend to be inclusive, and at the same time, everybody's doing better. The economy's stronger, more resilient, because you say inclusion is smart business. That when people are allowed to be their full selves, and that's not only something that's said explicitly, but it's just implicit in the community. It's known that we take you for all that you are, and we accept you for that. That's the community that we need to build.
So how did your time at the University of Kansas prepare you for a career in communications and leadership? I
gotta say, this is gonna sound like an ad for KU, because I think a lot of people are down on higher education, understandably. The costs have gone up, and a lot of people say that maybe college isn't for me. I knew that to be successful in what I do, I really need to understand fully the theory and the application of the work that I do. So I was very grateful to learn everything that I could through my communication studies, and also augment that with strategic communication through the School of Journalism. We had a real life practical lab almost working at the Daily Kansan, the student newspaper there. That presented me early on professional opportunities that made me be accountable as a 19, 20, 21-year-old. When you have real responsibility and tens of thousands of dollars in a quota that you have to fill, that's real money. So that taught me early on, and I think that's something that if I could tell myself early on, you need to be ready for that. You need to embrace those opportunities for challenge, because that's really where you can excel.
So you also focus on economic empowerment.
That's right.
Was there a defining moment that led you to focus on this topic?
Well, yeah, I alluded to it earlier. I'd worked in Northwest Florida, Destin. I worked in Tacoma, Washington, Irvine, California, Lima, Ohio, West Texas, many different places, and New York City, and Washington, D.C., many other places. Without question, almost without exception, the communities that embraced their people for what they were rather than what we wished them to be, they were more resilient, they were more dynamic, they tended to bring in a culture and an element that people wanted to be around. It felt real, it felt welcoming, it felt inclusive, and that's something that I think everybody can relate to. That's not a special feeling. That's the sense of feeling safe, feeling accepted, feeling like that you belong in a place. And it's just common sense. Be good to each other. Be excellent to one another in your workplace, and your work product's going to be excellent. But first, you must be excellent to yourself.
So in my introduction, I talked about you breaking barriers. What have been some of the most challenging barriers?
Well, I think to this day, the most challenging and the most important struggle that anyone can go on is the challenge of self-acceptance. And I think especially for members of the LGBTQ community, that first step, having the love for yourself that you deserve, no matter what society may say, that was a real, a leap of faith to rewire that, I don't need to live with shame. I don't need to live with any other person's conception of how I'm supposed to live my life. I am the one that's in charge of that, and that's empowering. This is way easier said than done. This is also coming after years of therapy, and I would recommend it to almost anybody that if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling locked up, talk to somebody about it. That is the path to freedom, and I'm very grateful for that. But that first step was internal, and I would say anybody's journey has to start with that first internal step.
What about collaborations? You also foster some collaborations. What are the big ones?
We've had Wichita is a tremendous place, and there's a ton of ideas that are flooding into my mind. I think specifically with regard to the LGBT chamber is the work that we've done building, I don't want to say from nothing, because these are communities that have existed for years, bringing people together in a place that what we're doing is we're creating new markets. For example, every year, we're now in our 5th annual Pride in the Park that happens every year at Navsker Park, bringing that collaboration together in the center of Wichita in collaboration with the city, who's been a tremendous partner with us. That has been a pride point for me, no pun intended. That has been a source of pride that I see my community actively digging in and saying, we want you here. I mean, that's the ball game. Like knowing that adults around me have my back, that's what I wish I had. Right. I think that's exactly what I'm about, is that I want to be a part of organizations that have my back and they have the backs of the whole community, because that's what strong communities are built around.
Are there other LGBT Chamber of Commerce around?
There are. The closest one is in Kansas City, and they've been a real source of inspiration for us. Mm-hmm. We've worked very closely on a couple of different initiatives. Each of these chambers of commerce, they serve a different community. And just like you'll find a chamber of commerce like the Wichita Metro Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Derby Chamber, the Newton Chamber, mm-hmm. they all serve their individual constituency. And in my view, now is the time. It's taken years to build this together, to build this community. We have dozens of members. I'm very proud to say that we've signed on Cargill as a corporate partner of ours, along with Evergy, to mention just a couple. There really is a groundswell of support, and our members and the community at large are recognizing organizations like ours are more relevant than ever. What is an LGBT chamber? All it is, like I said, a professional network that has your back. If you want to be the best version of yourself at work, if you want to make more money, join our chamber. It's not some moral high ground we're standing on. I want you to be successful. Come hang with me and my crew, and we're going to make it happen. That's the whole thing.
Does it not isolate the chamber, the LGBT chamber, by just having a separate type chamber to itself?
No, listen, I think that I get what you're saying. It's like, listen, you're putting a label on yourself and you're saying, hey, this is not necessarily for me. I hope that we can reframe it and recognize that because these institutions exist, they are specifically trying to focus on a community that hasn't had the same resources necessarily that you're going to find, the mentoring, the networking, the special inside information that you're going to get. Maybe folks don't feel comfortable in some of the, like I said, you walk into a room, you don't necessarily feel like you belong. Are you going to come back? Are you going to be involved with that organization? We're trying to build something that's comfortable and says, hey, we actively want you with us. You make us better. Come be a part of this. Isolating, I think, is actually the opposite, because when you see a fully actualized person, when you see a fully self-realized, authentic person, there's nothing isolating about that. It's attractive. You want to be around that. And that's what I see in my members that are joining us, people who want to be a part of this. They're saying, hey, I want to build a bigger market. I want to build a bigger community for all of us. And so that gives me a lot of hope that, as a matter of fact, no, not isolating. It's growing, and more people want to be a part of this, and they're finding their people here.
So what are some of the challenges being faced today?
I think we've touched on that. I mean, a lot of folks might assume, hey, this isn't for me. I don't necessarily identify as part of the LGBTQ community. Do I belong? Well, are you an ally? Are you somebody who believes that everybody in the community has something to contribute? Do you believe that inclusion is smart business? If you follow these simple principles, chances are you belong with us, and we belong with you, and let's win together. That's really, I think, the challenge, that if I could get out there and say, if anybody's saying, does that mean I'm invited? Yes, you are invited. You are included. As long as you want to be successful, you want your people to be successful, and you want the community to be successful, you belong. That's really as simple as it gets.
So, Chris, what's the evolution of the chamber in 5 years? How does it look?
Well, no, we've come a long way, because this has been a discussion that, as long as I can remember, there have been folks saying they wish they had a professional network. And we had started out with some friends from the Wichita Chamber who said maybe this would be an organization that's best, as a side organization of the Chamber. Well, what we'd come together to realize was it's better to build something that is ours, that is built by our folks that serve our community. We're doing that. This is the first phase of that. We're helping move that forward. And 5 years from now, what does that look like? It looks more inclusive. It looks bigger, a bigger area. We're right now serving the Wichita regional area. I think there's there's plenty of folks across the state who I think share these challenges. I think statewide, I think is really what I'd like to see in the next 5 years. I'd also say some more work with our nonprofit foundation that we've recently gotten spun up. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but it needs to be bigger. It needs to be just as intense and just as relevant. I see it being continually relevant.
So what's the membership? How many?
We have several dozen right now. I think if I was looking this morning, we have 77 members as of this morning. So it's a good number.
It's pretty good.
But listen, that's a start.
Yes.
I've said this for years.
A good start.
It's a good start. No, I mean, I can't feel bad about that. I mean, this is a grassroots organization that we've got people paying real dollars to be a part of, and I'm happy with this being ground floor for as long as it needs to be. Because we're building such a strong foundation that we're going to be unstoppable. And that's really exciting to see.
And how old is the organization, the
We're
Chamber?
about 5. I would say you could point it back to about 5 years old.
5 years, okay.
So, but we've had our papers filed for more like 3. So
now let's play a game.
Okay.
It's called Fill in the Blank.
All right.
All right.
Oh.
The best campaign slogan for my life would be,
Let's change the world and make everything better.
if I could only communicate using one emoji forever, it would be?
I think it'd be the laughing emoji. I laugh a lot.
Okay.
I don't know. I like to laugh.
If I had to be trapped in a TV show for a week, I'd choose...
Trapped in a TV show. Man, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I want to go to their. I want to live in their house. Or
which house? They have several.
That's what I mean. I would have my pick. I just leave me alone. Just leave me in the house. I'll just be in the background for a week. That's where I'd live. In a reality show. I think that'd be pretty fun.
So what would be your first house? Which Kardashian house would you
Well,
pick?
listen, don't they have a Malibu house? There's got to be something that looks at the ocean. I want an ocean. I want the beachfront house. Okay. Whoever, there's got to be full disclosure, I don't watch reality TV, but when I turn it on, they're always at the beach or at a beach house, and I'm certain I have access to one if I'm in the Kardashians.
Okay.
Going with that.
The title of my yet-to-be-written autobiography
is not appropriate for PBS. I already have it, but I'm not saying it on this show.
All right.
I do have it, but I'm not saying it on the air.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Let's pass on that. If I could start a business based on a totally wild idea, it would be?
A wild idea. I've been trying to, I don't know anything about restaurants or food, so ignore this because it's not going to happen, but I would kill for an Ethiopian restaurant. It's not that wild. I like food. I like good food.
Have you tried some injera?
Oh, I love injera. I love Ethiopian food. It is so good. And we just don't have anything nearby. I don't know where the nearest one is. Maybe Kansas City, maybe St. Louis. It's so good though. I love, I don't even know if it's that crazy of an idea, but if I just fell into money, I would hire a chef to plop down for 3 years. We're gonna give 3 years to try a new cuisine. That's what I would do. That's my crazy idea.
Okay. My personal theme song is?
Oh, man. I would say My Own Worst Enemy by Lit.
Okay. If aliens landed in Wichita and asked you to describe the city, you'll say?
If aliens landed and asked me to describe the city, you could get anywhere in 20 minutes. Is what I would say, because it's true. I love Wichita. It's like a comfortable old shoe. It's just, you can wear it every day, and it's just lovely. Sometimes it smells, but hey, it's lovely. I'm allowed to make these jokes, though. Natives are allowed to make these jokes.
You're right. So what smells about it?
South Side, have you not, like the sewer plant that they are working on? There's a giant open sewer.
You mean that literally?
Literally, yeah. No, it literally smells. Like, this is not anybody's fault. We just need to get it fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dream dinner party includes?
You mean like the people? Or like the food? Like, again, I'll just go back to the food. Probably Ethiopian food.
People.
People. Dream dinner. I'd say I find there's a lot of really interesting people here locally. Let's say our Wichita City Council, because I think they'd be funny if the TV cameras weren't on. I think that'd be an interesting dinner party to hear what they'd really say.
Okay. If I could swap places with any fictional character for a day, it would be?
Daddy Warbucks.
All right. But you do.
I'm just looking to like run into money and like live at the beach. If I could fictionalize, somehow I become a beach bum with billions of dollars.
Okay. Everybody's dream.
I don't know. This is not. I feel like I'm bombing this section.
If Wichita had a mascot, just for me, meaning you, it would be?
The thing that jumps out to me is Barnacle Bill of Barnacle Bill's Fantasy. Anybody remember that? It was this lovely, it was a water park in right where the Northeast Y is now. There's a water park there. And there was Joyland. We had Joyland and Barnacle Bill's Fantasy. And that was childhood. It was lovely. Barnacle Bill, just for me. That's the mascot of Wichita.
Okay, and finally, the most surprising item on my bucket list is?
I don't know if it's surprising, but I want to learn to fly. I really want to learn to fly. My dad did, and I don't know, he always made it sound so exciting to fly in a Cessna and just get up and go out and see the open air. I think that sounds like the most liberating thing.
Well, you are in the air capital.
I am. No, I've been talking to some folks about joining an aviation club. It's just, that if to do any kind of hobby, it costs money. And that's understandable. It's maintenance and gas and whatnot. But it's just, yeah.
So you played a critical role in passing Wichita's 2021 non-discrimination ordinance. Mm-hmm. What was that fight like?
Oof. The non-discrimination ordinance fight of 2021. I mean, that was a relitigation of a lot of old wounds. A lot of people don't know this, but Wichita actually had a non-discrimination ordinance that got overturned when Anita Bryant came to town with her band of fun folks. That was a difficult experience in putting that ordinance forward, because the fact is it's expansive, it's got teeth, it protects communities that are traditionally vulnerable, and we were subjected to hours and hours and hours of some of the grossest things I've ever heard said at city council meetings in Wichita. But the fact is we got through it, and literally none of the attacks that the opponents of the ordinance said would come to pass came to pass. It was all lies, just like we thought. It's all just based on lies and fear-mongering. It was painful, it was regrettable, but we got through it and we're a better community because of it.
So in your opinion, what makes for an effective advocacy message? And how do you get people to listen to your message?
Authenticity is I think that we live in a world of fiction in large part and artifice. And I think that people are smarter than we give them credit for. And people can suss out nonsense, fairly quickly. I mean, we are very concerned about AI. I mean, listen, there's all kinds of threats that AI poses, for example. But I have faith that the most effective advocates will remember their humanity and to hold to their authentic selves. Because in my experience, the most effective advocates are authentic, and again, that's the most attractive thing there is to be fully yourself and to be unashamed and unapologetic.
So describe yourself today after everything you've been involved in. Tell the viewer, just who are you?
Who am I? I would say I am a professional citizen, someone who cares considerably about the community, about the future of the community. I am an aggressive advocate on behalf of the values in which I believe. And I had a great compliment given to me once, is that if I could describe my gift, is that I have what's called infectious optimism. And that is, I can't turn it off. And that's, I think in visions almost sometimes about how the world could be. And it's almost, it's a challenge for me when other folks can't see it. And it's my job, it's just my job to try to fix that and make the world better. And when I said, like, to change the world and make everything better, that's my personal motto. That is my mission in life.
All right, so it's always good to be optimistic.
It's all,
right?
You have to be. I mean, it's better than the alternative.
Communicator, entrepreneur, and social advocate, Chris Pumpelly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Absolutely.
And thank you for watching this edition of One-on-One. One-on-one@kpts.org is our email address if you have a question or comment. I'm Victor Hogstrom. Be well, and I'll see you again soon.